I've been thinking. I've been thinking about how Indians finally get accepted within, I think, America and not get called like Jeets and stuff like that. So I was trying to think about it for a while, and I was like, you know what? Indians might be the only race that haven't truly been accepted by America yet. Which sounds weird. I mean, if you look at the racism, like all these other races have been here for a while longer or have done something that's intersected the zeitgeist of American culture and finally been accepted. I feel like Indian people, we haven't done that yet. Um, and I was trying to think like what do we do and how do we get there? And I think well, let me just first go into like Asians, which are very similar, like non-Indian Asians. Like boba, anime. These are part of Asian culture that have intersected America very, very strongly through the younger generation. And because of that, being Asian has become cool. I think to a lot of people, like being Asian is cool. Like you see a lot of other cultures and races embrace anime, embrace these things that were kind of pioneered by Asian culture, and it has become normal slash cool. And I was thinking like, African Americans, they brought a lot of different things. Music being a huge thing that's intersected the American zeitgeist, and now it's kind of normal. I think. I mean, racism aside, I know racism exists, like from people who are like colonial ass people to a degree. I know that exists. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about like the average youth thinks it's cool to be Asian. They think it's cool to be African American. They don't think it's cool to be Indian. And I'm trying to think what I think Indian is the only thing that people don't think it's cool to be as a race. And why is that? Like, yeah, like we I guess we're one of the highest earning races, I guess. But like we're kind of nerds as far as the stereotype goes. There isn't a cool thing that Indians have done or brought to America that the youth is like, damn, I want to be Indian. You see how many white people wear do rags trying to be black? Like, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just saying the desire is there. You see how many people of all races try to go up to these comic cons and stuff like that with the Dragon Ball Z costume or all these costumes, trying to be pretty much Asian. You know what I mean? Like trying to be a part of this culture, which they're free to. Obviously, I would say, um, dress up as a character. I don't think that's a bad thing. My point is, there's a desire to be a part of this culture and kind of be like this race to a degree because this race is seen as cool within American culture. I don't think Indian people have that, bro. And I'm trying to think. The reason we're probably last in line to be accepted by America is because we haven't come up with our little sauce. I mean, you could sit here and say yoga, you could sit here and say like meditation, but that's not like cool to the youngins, bro. The youth of America is like they like TikTok, bro. They like YouTube. They like what is yoga and meditation gonna do for them? We could sit here and say Indian food, but like, bro, people like Arby's, dude. People like pizza. Like, I feel like we haven't broke in. And I think that I'm not gonna lie, this sounds crazy, but Indian racism won't stop truly by the youth. Like true racism, true Indian racism won't stop unless we come up with our sauce. We could sit here and be like, stop being racist. But when has that worked? Seriously, when has that worked? Like, there's a lot of racist people in the world, and I don't think they changed their mind because someone said stop being racist. I think they like had enough conversations to realize race didn't matter as much as they thought, which is a great thing. Or they started to really like things that race brought. I'm not saying Indians have been useless in American culture. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying we need to figure out our sauce, dude. And until we figure out our sauce, racism won't stop. We need to bring something to this country that it intersects the youth generation, not some boomer shit. We need to bring something, and I don't know what it is, but I think maybe I have some ideas. Maybe we need to redefine spirituality. Maybe we need to redefine meditation. Maybe we need to redefine these things, because a lot of these concepts originated from our history and our culture. If we were to redefine these in a way that seemed cooler and was cooler, I think a lot of people would look at, the practices of spirituality as a great alternative to, a lot of options they may not want to consider. Maybe this is the direction and the guidance that America may need to consider, I'm not exactly sure, but I think we have to kind of start approaching solving racism to a large degree by providing something that connects with the culture. And I think there is a lot of racism for the other races, like African Americans, Asians, but I think the younger generation is not feeling that as much, because they identify. Because you got to understand, the younger generation doesn't view things as much in white and black. You're not a white kid, you're not a black kid. You are the culmination of the cultures that you have consumed. So you're gonna feel more. It's gonna sound really weird, but you're gonna feel more Asian if you consume anime 90% of the time, but you're white. You're gonna feel more represented through them than you, because we live our lives entirely pretty much online / on social media now. So whatever made you quote unquote white or any race is being nullified by what you are consuming. What you're consuming becomes pretty much the race you or the group you identify the most with. So when everyone is consuming anime, they're going to slowly, and I'm not saying it solves everything, but they're going to slowly identify themselves more with the creators of that, or the pioneers of that content, than their actual race. If someone consumes a lot of African American culture, especially in this generation, I'm not saying that makes them the race, but I'm saying they're going to identify more with that race than their other race. And it's created this melting pot of identity, where identity is not necessarily how you were born, but identity is how you identify. And the thing is, there's nothing cool to the youth for people to identify to be Indian. Nobody wants to be Indian. That's the problem, bro. And I think Indian racism will continue if nobody wants it to be Indian. And it's kind of really cool that I'm going to talk about Eric Reprid, who's a rapper who's using the C word in his music, and people use the N word. It's an Asian slur, and he uses it in his, and he's sitting here smoking, working out, tattoos on his body. Asian parents' worst nightmare in terms of stereotype. But what he's doing is he's making it cool to be Asian. And you could be here oh, smoking isn't cool. I don't smoke, right? But people think it's cool. So you can't just tell somebody what they think is cool is not cool and expect them to magically be convinced. At least more people are thinking Asian people are cool. And there is no outlet to think Indian people are truly cool, bro. We literally have exemplified the nerd stereotype. And this is not to disrespect Indians at all. I think we're great. But I think the racism won't stop until we give them their heroin and then they're stuck in a little stun lock. If you can't shit on the Asians like that too much as a youngin if you're heavily relying on anime. You gotta pipe down, bro. You know what I mean? You can't be shitting on people if you can't be shitting on your supplier if you use the supplier. And we don't have any heroin to give. Okay, that sounds crazy out of context, but we don't have anything to supply to the youth as a cultural role model of what's cool, not what you should be, because everyone knows what they should be. I know everyone knows they should make money, they should study, people want to rebel, dude. That's what coolness is. And people people need to see things as cool. People need to aspire to rebel and see these things as cool in order to truly gravitate towards them. Are you going to be the homework, or are you going to be the thing that people do once they finish their homework? Because anime, that's the thing people do once they finish their homework. Rap music, like music in general that African American people pioneered, jazz music to a degree, like all these genres, that's the thing you do after your homework, bro. What do Indians have that is something you can do after your homework? That is cool, that you can't resist. You see what I'm saying? We have nothing that has intersected the youth. And until we figure that out, I don't think racism will be stopped. Obviously, it's not cool. Obviously, it's not cool to be racist. But that never convinced anybody, dude. I'm not saying we deserved racism either. I'm not saying that. But I want to really solve this problem. And I've been thinking for a while, what will really solve this problem? And it's almost something in the culture that people can finally refer to us as. That people try to copy, other races try to copy. And maybe it is spirituality, but maybe we need to redefine it. We need to not be the homework anymore. We need to be the thing that people do after the homework. So, I don't know what I'm going to title this, but I wanted to get that out, bro. I wanted to get that out.